Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you? It is November 16th. It is Mantra Monday. I am Akayani. How are you? So, yes, I'm telling you, when you've got these short commutes, you tend to be a little late. So I apologize for that. It is 8:06. Noah is here today, and I partially blame my dog for being late this morning, because he wakes me up repeatedly as soon as he hears the other person in the house making noise he wants to go visit, and it doesn't matter if it's 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. So, it can get a little discombobulated. Good morning, Rosie. I saw my friend Jessica was driving through Rincon the other day. She did a live video of that, and I was like, Rincon! So it's nice to have you here this morning, because I woke up thinking about you this morning in Puerto Rico. So I just wanted to let you know, it's not that I don't want to come back. I love Puerto Rico. I actually had an uncle who was born in Puerto Rico, whose mom was Puerto Rican. So somewhere in the midst of time, my grandfather, Bernardo, his first love and his first marriage was actually to a Boricua. And I don't know her name. Isn't that crazy? It's one of those things, you're talking to your grandparents and you don't ask them the obvious. So, but at any rate, my uncle's name, his nickname was Peña. And actually, it's probably in my grandfather's first book. I think his formal name was Philip. He was a musician, very traveling musician, and I think he actually was going to release a record with the great Quincy Jones when, unfortunately, he died untimely. He was going to release a record late in his life, and that was unfortunate. But that was my Uncle Peña, who I actually never got to meet. He was born... My goodness, he must have been born he was born like in 1926, so that's way ahead of my mom, who wasn't born until 38, and my aunt, who wasn't born until 45 or something. So that's about all the information I have about Uncle Peña. I've been trying to find some documentation on him. He must be in a photograph somewhere, playing music, but that's a mystery. So unless he leads me to it, that's what's up. So all that to say that artists need support. They need financial support. That means that the plane ticket has to be paid for, and the accommodations have to be paid for, and the gig has to be paid for, and all of that. So when I went to Puerto Rico the first time, I just did that on my own money. Of course, Tom, helped obviously greatly with getting the venue and all of that. I'm not downplaying that at all. And I did get to stay with him. But that's the only reason why I was able to do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to pull it off. So here's hoping, that 2021, 2022 is, a great success. And I can do more traveling in the future. So I just want to let you know that, Rosie. You're on my mind this morning. Hola. Okay. So, Thanksgiving is around the corner. That is crazy. I'm hosting a virtual Thanksgiving because obviously I can't be with you this year in person. And I love to cook and, host musical things, and it looks like we're going to be in this for a while longer. So I thought, what can I do, to somehow be with everyone? So I created this virtual Thanksgiving. And if you're on my mailing list, or if you're in my Facebook members group that's private, then you can, kind of get in on that, because of course, there's a link. Actually, you know what? I can actually post the link to this page. Yeah, I can do that too. But there are advantages to being on my mailing list, for sure. So if you want to be on my mailing list, shoot me your email, and I'll put you in there, because you get deals and stuff like that before other people. and things like this, because not everything I'm able to post up here because I can only post one thing at a time up top. Also, Rosie, the t-shirts, there's going to be a Black Friday sale starting on the 27th, and excuse me, it'll go until Cyber Tuesday, because I only have I have a limited amount of t-shirts, and I expect they're going to sell. So really, if you want one, get one. So I'm going to be running a promotion on Instagram, and because I have a shop set up over on Instagram. So if you want in on that, then you should be following me on Instagram, or once again, you should be on my mailing list because the mailing list, has the basically has first dibs on this type of thing. And the coupon will already be applied, so you don't have to worry about the coupon. So the sale is going to run from Friday, November 27th until Tuesday, December 1st. Can you believe it? December's almost here. So I want to let you know that the shipping is fast. The shipping is reasonable because I get discounts on shipping. And I ship everything myself, so I am your customer support elf. I have boxes here, and peanuts, and mailer bags, and all that type of stuff. And anyone who orders during the Black Friday sale automatically gets a sticker of Noah. Noah, come here, buddy. Come here. Come here. Come here. Rosie wants to see you. Everyone gets a sticker of this guy. Yeah, and look, we have matching sweaters this morning. So I made up these stickers of Noah so you could have dog therapy, because he is the rock star and he is absolutely adorable. Yeah, see that? He's a Chihuahua Terrier. So if you know Chihuahuas, they like to lick. Lick, 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 lick. They're very affectionate and they've got great big personalities. He's the Napoleon Bonaparte of my block. Okay, that's what's up. All right. So I just wanted to let you know. Okay. So let me get into the verse now. We are in Opulence of the Absolute. That is chapter 10. And we are almost to the end of that chapter. And let me pull this up. The next things that are going to be coming up are the universal form. Pretty exciting. Which is really an expansion of the discussion that we're having here when you think about it. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to read the Sanskrit, sing the verse, give you the read the translation, and then give you the word for word, and then read the purport, and then try and offer some insights. daṇḍo damayatām asmi, nītir asmi jigīṣatām, maunam caivāsmi guhyānāṁ, jñānavatām aham. Oh, that sounds great. daṇḍo damayatām asmi, nītir asmi jigīṣatām, maunam caivāsmi guhyānāṁ, jñānavatām aham. Again. daṇḍo damayatām asmi, nītir asmi jigīṣatām, maunam caivāsmi guhyānāṁ, jñānavatām aham. daṇḍo damayatām asmi, nītir asmi jigīṣatām, maunam caivāsmi guhyānāṁ, jñānavatām aham. So it's traditional actually that you recite it 3 times. Okay. daṇḍaḥ, punishment. damayatām, of all means of suppression. Asmi, I am. Nītiḥ, morality. Asmi, I am. Jigīṣatām, of those who seek victory. maunam, silence, cha, and eva, also, asmi, I am. Guhyānāṁ, of secrets, jñānam, knowledge. jñāna-vatām, of the wise, aham, I am. Beautiful verse today. What a beautiful rhyme. Translation. Among all means of suppressing lawlessness, I am punishment. And of those who seek victory, I am morality. Of secret things, I am silence. And of the wise, I am wisdom. Purport. There are many suppressing agents, of which the most important are those that cut down miscreants. When miscreants are punished, the agency, of chastisement represents Kṛṣṇa. Among those who are trying to be victorious in some field of activity, the most victorious element is morality. Among the confidential activities of hearing, thinking, and meditating, silence is most important because by silence one can make progress very quickly. The wise man is he who can discriminate between matter and spirit, between God's superior and inferior natures. Such knowledge is Kṛṣṇa himself. All right, well, that's beautiful. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to work backwards to the beginning of this wonderful explanation given by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Of course, the Vedas are compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, and Kṛṣṇa himself is to be known by the Vedas. He is the object of the Vedas, he's the origin of the Vedas, and he's also the compiler of the Vedas, because Vyasadeva is actually a divine expansion. It's actually a Shaktivesh avatar of Kṛṣṇa. So it says here that the wise man is he who can discriminate between matter and spirit, between God's superior and inferior natures. Okay, so Kṛṣṇa in the Bhagavad Gita explains that, he has two energies. He has his superior energy, that is his transcendental energy, that is his purely spiritual energy. That is the energy to which we belong. That is the energy from which we come. And that is an energy that never decays. It never decays, it never dies, it never dwindles, it never withers. Of course, Kṛṣṇa himself is always appearing as a beautiful youth, no more than 16 years old. Because when we're 16, right, how beautiful are we? We have all our hair, our skin is beautiful, our bodies are in good shape, we have that bloom of youth. So this is the transcendental realm. No one is aging in the transcendental realm. Nothing is dying in the transcendental realm. As the Edward Hawkins singers used to say, there'll be no crying there, there'll be no dying there, right? Come and go with me to my Father's house. But here, in the material world, although the energy is also divine, Kṛṣṇa says, Daivi Shakti Gunamayi, this energy is also mine. It has a different quality in that we are subject to time here. We are subject to Kṛṣṇa in the form of time, or kala. And as such, we are all on a, kind of a conveyor belt towards what we call death. That basically means that the body is subject to birth, death, disease, and old age. The soul, of course, is not, but the inferior energy, the soul is subject to, I guess you could say, going through the paces, right? Jumping through the hoops, having to experience life as temporary, although it is eternal. Why? Because we have a desire, to lord it over material nature. We have a desire to be in the ultimate position of power. So that's not really possible because that position is already taken. So the material world is kind of like a play set, you know. It's like if you have a child and the child wants to drive your car. You see that a lot with 3-year-olds, you know. You put them in the car and they want to sit on your lap and drive. Obviously a 3-year-old cannot drive the car because the car is a very sophisticated piece of machinery, and they're definitely going to have a crack up. They can't even reach the floor pedals, you know. They can't even see through the windshield. They don't have the skills for that. So in this way, you know, similarly, as jivas being so small, we do not have the capability, you know, of running the universe. So we kind of get to be an attempt to be the master of our own universe. But ultimately, being the master of our own universe in this world means becoming a Goswami, means becoming a master of the senses. But as long as we're engaged in this illusion that we are the body and the things that are around us belong to us, this is what we go through. Until I was just reading last night, actually, that in practicing yoga, there is a pose called the corpse pose, Shavasana. And so when you're in that asana, the practice is to clench your fists, you know, and to kind of clench your feet, to sort of to clench everything in your body, because you're meant to practice pushing up your life airs up to the crown of your head, because at the time of death, you want to push the soul up through the crown of your head, up through the crown chakra. You do not want to be leaving your body through the anus, right? You don't want to be leaving the body through the genitals. You want to be leaving the body through the crown chakra. And so this is a practice that you do. And it's important because you want to give yourself that opportunity to go back to the spiritual world. So everything requires an effort in this world. In the spiritual world, everything is effortless. But here, you know, it's very important that we set our intentions and that we decide, you know, where we want to go and follow that path. Not that there won't be obstacles on that path. Those are the challenges that we meet, but, you know, the challenges that we meet along the way should make us stronger. You could consider them austerities, and they help us deepen our practice and connect more deeply to the source. So here, clearly, Kṛṣṇa is saying, Bhaktivedanta is saying, the wise man is he who can discriminate between matter and spirit. And that begins with knowing the difference between matter and spirit in our own person, right? This whole Bhagavad Gita is meant to give us that understanding. What else can I say about that? Well, okay, that's it in a nutshell, you know. We're not this body, aham brahmasmi. We are spirit soul. Then, before this, he says, among the confidential activities of hearing, thinking, and meditating, silence is the most important, because by silence, one can make progress very quickly. So this is a very interesting verse, or a very interesting explanation, because it says also in the Bhagavad Gita that there's contrasts. Silence for a yogi on the path of bhakti actually means speaking about Krishna. It actually means speaking about the Creator, because you are silencing all the mundane talk, all the material talk, the gossip, and just all these rabbit holes that you can go down that are really not edifying, that are really not elevating, that are ultimately are not solving your problems. Not that you want to be obtuse if someone comes to you and asks you a question about how can they get their car started or something. You know, we don't want to be arrogant. We don't want to spiritually bypass. We don't want to be insensitive to people's needs. But the sum and substance, of what we should be thinking about, what we should be meditating about, what we should be speaking about, should be about the absolute truth. It should be divine. And there is variety in that. There's great depth and knowledge in that. So we should try and avoid gossip. We should try and avoid getting sucked into conversations that we don't need to be involved in, because this is going to distract us and drag us away from what the focus of our life should be. And in this information age and digital age, Lord, there are so many distractions. We are constantly being pulled in all these different ways. And it's actually more of a challenge to understand how to be focused and how to be silent now, but it's well worth the effort. You have to be selective about what you choose to focus your time on. So for example, people will send me a lot of political opinions, or I should watch, the political opinion of some other person or of some other pundit. And I mean, not just one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15, 10. When you're spiritually educated and spiritually wise, you definitely get the gist, because you understand that victory is about morality. In other words, you can understand what Dharma is. You can understand what is right and wrong based on the eternal principles. What should a person in a leadership position actually be doing? They should also be spiritually aware. They should also have control of their senses, right? They should be with one woman if they're a married man. They shouldn't be with 15 women or hundreds of women, right? They should be practicing compassion. All these different things. If you want to know more about that, that knowledge is also available in the Mahabharata. There are many skills to be had when one is in a position of leadership, but the underlying theme of that is that one should be treating the citizenry, all of the citizens, like they are your children, all of them, regardless of what they look like or what they sound like, and whether they are two-legged or whether they are four-legged. So this is the principle. So the point is that when one can be silent in this way and not be tempted to just jump into one of these conversations that goes on forever and that is just endless debate back and forth, which you're basically wasting your life air and your very precious human life form being entangled in conversations about personalities that by and large are involved in asuric activities. You're not actually elevating yourself or the consciousness of the planet. You can avoid getting sucked in and getting into a debate just by practicing maunam, just by practicing this restraint. Remember, we talked about this last week, about the qualities of a yogi. Again, this is a theme that comes up over and over again about being able to control one's tongue. It's very, very important in yoga. There's a relationship between that, of course, and eating. There's a relationship between that and speaking. There's a relationship between that and being able to control the genitals and being able to control one's anger, right? Being able to control one's speech is extremely important because we're all prompted to speak in anger. And the way that you engage your tongue by chanting and hearing, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, that gives you the ability to remember, right? That gives you the ability to remember the divine. And that's really important. When push comes to shove, when you find yourself in a difficult situation, that knowledge will come back to you because you spent your time hearing and chanting and remembering Vishnu. Very important. It's almost in a way, it's almost difficult to explain this topic in a way that doesn't seem superficial. At least I hope it's not coming off in a superficial way. Simply because there needs to be some cumulative knowledge here to understand, you know, the intricacies of bhakti. But I assure you, you know, that if you keep at it in time, when you need it, this knowledge will come to rescue you. Because remember, Krishna is the source of all memory as well. And among women, he is memory and intelligence. Okay, so among those who are trying to be victorious in some field of activity, the most victorious element is morality. Yes. So a victory is hollow if it is actually not aligned with moral principles. If the person who has gained the victory has actually gained their victory through the process of cheating, then it is actually not a victory. It does not have a firm foundation upon which to stand. It will crumble in time. What to speak of your conscience, right? It's one of those things where, you know, you can pretend and you can lie to yourself, but you're not going to sleep easy. So Krishna is clearly saying here that, you know, he is morality. Then it says, previous to that, there are many suppressing agents, of which the most important of those that cut down miscreants. When miscreants are punished, the agency of chastisement represents Krishna. Okay, so this whole battle of Kurukshetra, you know, this whole battle that is going on or that is about to take place, you know, ultimately represents the agency of Krishna. And I think that will become clearer in the next chapter when we talk about the universal form. And we've touched on it a little bit, you know, Krishna as time. But there is an element of karma here. So in other words, it is said that there are two ways in which someone or someones who have committed a crime will reap what they sow. So in some instances, people won't get the punishment in this lifetime. You know, apparently they won't get it in this lifetime. But at the time of death, you know, this is a common concept, right? When it's time to go to Judgment Day, there is Yamaraj who steps in and actually reviews the person's life with them and decides what kind of a punishment they merit based on their activities. Were they cruel? What were they doing? So that there's a whole canto in the Bhagavatam, the 5th canto, that goes into great detail about this. However, in this lifetime, you will see that people will get away with, and they will get away, and they will get away, and they will get away, and they will get away with cheating people, hurting people, and so on and so forth, for maybe 10 years, or 20 years, or 30 years, or 40 years, but eventually the floor crumbles underneath them, and they are undone by their own misdeeds. So when talking about big asuras, you know, like Ravana or Hiranyakashipu, these kinds of personalities, eventually your sinful acts catch up to you, and you just see, you know, how the whole structure of lies and deception and coercion and all these things literally crumbles underneath the person, you know. It can start with one thing and then it just kind of snowballs. So that's the other way. So anyone who thinks that they're getting away with something, you're really just kind of on borrowed time. Everything comes to light sooner or later. So this is also Kṛṣṇa, because the universe essentially is built on goodness. It's based on goodness. The universe has been created and built out of the profound goodwill of the Creator to give everyone, all the souls in whatever form they are in, an opportunity to live out their lives in the way that they see fit. But the caveat is, do no harm. That is the ultimate, that is the golden rule, right? And that applies whether or not you are following Christianity, or whether you're following Islam, or whether you're following Bhakti, or whether you're following Buddhism, or whether you're following nothing at all, is that you want to treat others and you want to treat other living things the way that you would like to be treated, because there's a divine spark in that other living entity, and there is a witness there. And we cannot live our lives in a state of disharmony. No, we can't. So, because it just impedes the progress of your neighbor, who is also struggling with the material energy, who is also struggling with their body, mind, and senses, who is also trying to understand and struggling with their circumstances, right? They're somehow or another, trying to come to rights, you know, with that. So life is sacred, and everyone's life should be respected to be able to work out what it is they need to work out during the course of their lifetime, you know. If you can help someone along the way, you should help them. But also, sometimes helping people is not interfering with their path, because everyone has to learn their own lessons. We've all had that situation, you know, where we've seen someone, we know they're going down the wrong path, but they won't listen. If you're a parent, you understand this. If you're a child, you can understand this. What did my mother tell me? My mother told me not to do this, right? Mama told me not to come. That's not the way to have fun, son. So it's very important to allow everyone and everything to live their life peacefully and to try and live that protection. Because one of the things that can happen is if a person, let's say, their life is cut short, untimely, not through no fault of their own, but let's say someone takes their life, you know, untimely, then that soul is going to have to reincarnate again, and that's a lot of trouble, right? And start the process over again, because they actually have not reached the goal. So this is another thing about being in this world, is that until you learn your lessons, you have to come back again and again and again and again. So you don't want to interfere with someone's learning process, because here on the Earth planet, this is a school. This is a great school of learning. This is a place where we learn to appreciate. This is a place where we learn to be kind. This is a place where we learn, you know, how to see the Creator in everything and everyone. This is a place where we hopefully learn to master ourselves. This is basically a school of self-mastery here. And also, what a marvel it is to appreciate all the incredible beauty and all the incredible artistry and all the beautiful creatures that have been put here, and how everything works synergistically. There was a Prabhu the other day who was making this point that the material world is a place of suffering, that it's a great place of suffering, and that even our own material body, right, can be a miserable thing. Of course, as long as we are not detached. But he was saying, you know, we have to pass stool and we have to pass water. You know, the body is made up of, you know, blood, pus, and stool. And I acknowledged that, and I thought, yes, that is true, you know, and it is inconvenient for the soul. But what is the lesson there, you know? On the other hand, I found myself thinking, but what a perfect ecological vehicle we are actually living in, that the Creator has made it so that every living entity passes stool. In other words, every living entity is creating earth, you know? So everything that we're eating is being recycled and everything is going back to the earth. And yes, on one level, it's gross, but on another level, everything that we have eaten has been repurposed and is now going back to the earth to fertilize the earth, to grow new things. I mean, it's amazing, you know? So when you think about the name Adam, right, in the Bible, Adam, that means of the earth. Literally, it literally means of the earth. So again, last night I was reading from Jivamukti Yoga a blog post called The 9 Gates. It was actually talking about death and the 9 gates and what the process is when the soul actually leaves the body. And it's fascinating, really. You know, the elements of, the element of sunlight, right? Gives us our ability to see. The ability of fire gives us our ability to digest and keeps us warm, right? The ability of water that allows us to, you know, pass liquids out of our body, but also to remain hydrated and to remain mobile. And all these different things, and how every sense is literally related to a different element that we find out here, you know, in the universe. The sun that's rising, the fire that's burning, the wind that's blowing, the life airs. It's fascinating. So not only are we literally made in the image of God, we are also literally attached to the elements of creation that the Creator has put in motion to be able to make it possible for us to be able to live here on earth. And when we're done with this suit of clothing, we relinquish those elements back to the earth and reach our destination. That's the goal, at any rate. That is my little realization that I wanted to share today at 9:25 a.m. All the information, you know, the verse and the Sanskrit and the purport will appear here on this page in case you want to study it more. I think that I will also post the link to what I've been talking about today, about what happens when we make our great transition and how, you know, we should think of that and be prepared for it. I mean, ultimately, the bedrock, you know, of spiritual life and bhakti, you know, it's not to be morbid, but definitely an impetus is to know that, you know, that time is going to come. It could come tomorrow, it could come in 10 years, it could come in 30 or 40 years, but eventually it's going to come. And that the blessing that we should be praying for is to have that realization. I mean, it says that, you know, one can live for hundreds of years, you know, if one has this consciousness, if one has this devotional consciousness and this divine awareness. The yogis, you know, that are sitting in meditation in the Himalayas, people that we don't even see, they've been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. They've been there for a really long time. And what are they doing? They are sitting there in meditation, right? They are connecting with the divine, and they are emanating that goodness out to the world, which is in sore need of it. But essentially, they are free, and you know, when they choose to leave at their appointed time, off they go, you know, like a rocket. So it's good to be able to choose when you want to leave. That's the point, and not be forced to leave untimely. Well, Rosie, I'm just so glad that you were here this morning. I missed you last week, and I will see you very soon, at least virtually. So I'm going to post the virtual Thanksgiving link here. I'm going to try and do that later on today. If not today, then tomorrow, Tuesday the 17th, because next Thursday is already Thanksgiving, and I think it would be cool if you all had a head start on, your shopping and what items that you want to pick out. You may want to use, one of the recipes that I offer, or you may want to use more of the recipes that I offer on this virtual Thanksgiving. So I've culled the best of the best from 2020, and I have video for you. I've got downloadable recipe cards for you, and that's what's up. So have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your week. Thank you for the opportunity, for letting me come up here and display my more esoteric side. Got a lot more good things coming for you. Also, if you haven't watched my movie yet, please watch the movie. The link is up there. It's free to watch. You just have to, enter your email address and your first name and where you're from and where you're residing. That could help with touring later. Kind of like to know where people are. And that's it. And you'll get some bonus content right away. And also, when you check your inbox, you're going to get an email from Akayani at akayanimusic.com. So, if you don't get it, be sure to check your spam folder. But if you're using any service other than Yahoo, Yahoo seems to be a little bit sketchy with this because they've got some weird blockers and stuff. You should get it, and I would really, really love to hear your feedback. The movie was in the process of being made for 3 years now, and it's finally out. And you get a chapter a day, so you don't have to spend too much time watching it, and you get to do other things. And there's more bonus content in there too. Okay, namaste. I'll see you later, Rosie.